This year the event is going to be the biggest and best ever. We have people that have absolutely distinguished themselves beyond comprehension and should be acknowledged. And it all started here in Southern California in the city section. Oftentimes you forget about where people start. This is the event where we acknowledge where it started, because if it wasn't for this, they wouldn't have become who they were.
You know, I feel very blessed tonight because I'm running to so many people that I've known over the years. And it's to a point where I've been here so long, I've covered so many of the people in this room when they were in high school or they were coaching. So it's really a special event. And please, as you leave tonight, and we're all said and done, take that with you. This really is pretty cool. It truly is. Okay, are we ready to go? All right, let's bring Tony up right now.
For 35 years, Tony Dobra brought excellence and respect to the sport of softball while coaching at Mary Star the Sea and San Pedro. A San Pedro High School alumnus of 1974, he would come back to his alma mater to take over the softball program in 1987, and from there, Pirate softball would skyrocket. During his 29 years at the helm, Tony led San Pedro to 13 LA City Section titles and 21 league championships. The run from 2000 to 2009 was Dobra's best as he guided San Pedro to a decade of dominance that has never been duplicated, probably never will be duplicated. His team reached the City Section title game every year, winning 9 championships in 10 appearances.
First of all, thank the committee. This is a fantastic event. Next, I'd like to thank my mom and dad. My mom, Jackie's over here. My dad, Sam's at home. My brother, Jeff, his wife, Karen. All my really good friends over there that supported me over the years. Man, I coached with for 28 years at San Pedro High School. Alan Moore, Doc's back there. Bob Schatz, my athletic director for many of those years, is somewhere in this room. Bob, thank you very much over there. Within the city section, for a long time, we were under the guidance of Barbara Figge, tremendous, tremendous person. And of course, Vicky Lagos. It was great. And again, I'm not going to tell those stories, but, my wife Pam, oh my God, I almost got in trouble with that. Okay, thank you. And speaking of that, I'll finish it up here. All the years I did that, and some of you people might know what I'm talking about, but if you play sports, you will. The softball gods, man, they took good care of me and the girls. And I always told them, if you respect the game, you're committed to the game, you play it the right way, they'll take care of us. They're going to make you earn it. They're going to sweat us a couple of times. But in the end, if you do things the right way, we have some fun out here, we'll do well. And obviously, I was blessed with some incredibly talented young ladies. You can't win all those games without great kids. But the best part of it is I still live in San Pedro, been there my whole life. I still see many of them around town. They still say, hey, coach, how's it going? You see them in restaurants, been to their weddings. My wife's been to their showers. It's been a tremendous experience. And lastly, I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees. As a kid who loved sports growing up in the 60s and early 70s, Don Buford, my God, I'll check I play on television as a big Oriole fan. Willie Crawford, Dodgers. Art Dunphy, Olympic coach, the Ferragamo brothers. Man, I played 1 year at JV basketball at Pedro High, so thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm glad he mentioned his wife. Whatever. Okay. Now, when we call your name, as we progress through the evening, once you see the video rolling, come on up. Just come on up. You don't have to wait once we call your name. Here's someone I actually do know. Olympic coach at Pepperdine, from Taft, 1966, Marv Dunphy.
Regarded as one of the greatest collegiate volleyball coaches to ever coach the game, Marv Dunphy concluded his 34th and final season as the Pepperdine University head coach. Marv led the Waves to a record of 523 and 253 and won the NCAA championship in 1978, 1985, 1992, and again in 2005. An astonishing 22 Pepperdine Waves earned 38 All-American First Team accolades, and 6 of his players have earned National Player of the Year honors, more than any other program in the nation. A graduate of Taft High School in 1966, Marv Dunphy is a member of the Volleyball Hall of Fame, the American Volleyball Coaches Association Hall of Fame, and the Southern California Indoor Volleyball Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Good evening. We have 2 minutes. Julie Rostro asked for 1 unit, and Randy Rosenblum, he bought the other minute. Yeah. So I'd like to acknowledge 3 coaches: John Furlong at Taft, Ken Stanley at Pierce, and probably like a lot of us in this room, John Robert Wooden. And when I first started coaching, I was trying to be Marv Wooden, and that didn't work out, but tremendous respect for all 3. And my fellow inductees, some of you I know, some of you I know very well, but I know of all of you, and it's an honor to be with you tonight. Thank you.
Chris Ferragamo, banning 1958.
When one thinks of banning football, the name Chris Ferragamo instantly comes to mind. Ferragamo is one of the most celebrated coaches in LA City Section history, having coached the Pilots to 8 of their 11 City Section titles, winning 6 in a row from 1976 through 1981. Chris sported a record of 179, 52, and 5 during his 2 stints as the head coach that spanned 22 seasons. Some of his former star players included his brother Vince, Freeman McNeil, Stanley Wilson, Jamel Holloway, and Michael Allo. Upon leaving Banning, Chris coached at New Mexico Highlands University as a volunteer assistant line coach.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the LAUSD Foundation and CIF for this wonderful honor. I appreciate it very, very much. Before I begin, I want to introduce my family. I'll start with my wife first. My wife Marlene, my 2 sons, Chris and Mark, my daughter Deanna. I want to introduce my sister Estelle and my niece Andrea, my brother Mike, his son Tony. I want to introduce my Tony, his daughter Lisa, and all the little kids, Vanessa and her husband Javier, and also my 2 friends, John Mattis and my assistant coach, Eddie Guerrero, over here. One of the hardest things to do when you're up here speaking and getting an honor like this is to not appreciate the assistant people that have helped me. I've been helped by so many people. My high school football coaches inspired me to become a football coach. Gene Volligo and Paul Heidner at Banning High School. And as time went on, the community people really started to step up and help my program. Mr. Johnny Mendez helped me years ago start the Wilmington Boys Athletic Association, which are the junior Pee Wee kids, and they fit into our program and made our Banning program very successful. In 1975 was our first year at the Coliseum. We played a very, very tough team from San Fernando High School. They were doing great. They had a fullback on their team named Charlie White, who eventually became the Heisman Trophy winner. And he was really, really good. We couldn't stop them. They were great. I was disappointed after the game, but in 1976 we got Freeman McNeil, Joey Montijo, Ronnie Settles. They came in, and I tell you what, it changed everything with our program. We came on and we won a city championship in '76. Then we went on to do some really good stuff because we started developing a program, not a team. We didn't want a team, we wanted a program. We started a weight program. John Madison started a weight program at our school. And we had everybody helping us. Everybody from the cafeteria manager to the counselors at school, everybody was on our side, the community members. It was great. But I want to say thank you to all the administrators that helped me, the teachers that helped me, because one man cannot do it himself. It takes a bunch of people to help to get behind the program to make it successful. My players were outstanding. I have so many great players that have gone on to college. They all keep coming back and sending me letters saying, "Hi coach, how you doing?" So that's one of the nicest things about coaching is that the kids come back and say thank you. I appreciate that. But I want to thank you all for coming tonight to honor these wonderful men here tonight that are really, really good people and they're good coaches. And again, thanks all for coming, and I appreciate everybody's.
Hamilton, 1970.
Paul retired from the Los Angeles Unified School District in 2014 after 33 years. During his 27-year tenure as coach at Dorsey High School, he won 4 LA City championships in football and 4 city titles in girls track. As the leader of the Dons, Paul created a positive culture, an enriching environment for inner-city kids to thrive on the gridiron with hopes and dreams of fulfilling their potential. He amassed a record of 259 wins, 105 losses, and 3 ties at Dorsey. A 4-time LA Times Coach of the Year, Paul was inducted into the National High School Coaches Hall of Fame in 2004.
Hey, it's a great day to be a Don. I want to thank everybody that has anything to do with this recognition for this Hall of Fame. It's a great and tremendous honor. But anytime you get an honor like this, there's acknowledgments to other people that must be done. I have my family, my parents who were able to allow me to live my dream of being a high school football coach, is what I wanted to do since I was in high school. And they just allowed me to be able to be me and be who I needed to be to accomplish that dream. I also have my brothers and my sons who had to have to sacrifice because of the time I did spend doing football, so I want to make sure I appreciate them. You also, when you're a coach or a teacher, you have other families. You have high school families. And I've had 4 families. I've had my high school that I went to, Hamilton, which I'm very proud of. I've had Fremont High School, which was my first school, and I had my first coaching assignment. I had Washington High School, where I coach now, and having a wonderful experience with the kids. And I've had Dorsey, where I spent 30 years, and it's some of the most supportive and greatest alumni that you can ever meet. Now, I cannot go any further without mentioning a couple of people. First of all, a lot of people don't know or don't remember that I did not become Dorsey's head coach alone. When I was hired, I was also hired with another man named Eugene McAdoo. We were co-coaches. And so often I'm standing here, but he is part of the great legacy of Dorsey football and the success of football, and I have to make sure I mention him. And I'm going to ask him to stand because he deserves just as much of this as I do. Also, my principal, Dr. Wells, and the administration that was there at the time, Mr. Willard Love and Ms. Beverly Clarkson. They were the administration that saw 2 young coaches and gave us the opportunity to lead the program. Then my mentor, Glenn Bell, who was the coach before me. He's deceased now, but he was the guy that really gave me the strength and backing and knowledge to lead a program. Also, since I did coach track, I have 3 coach mentors that I have to acknowledge. One is Ralph Tilley, one is Steve Lang. Coach Tilley, one of the winningest coaches in the city. Steve Lang, another championship coach who I coached with at Fremont. And Clarence Clarkson, who I coached under when I first came to Dorsey. I have a long list of coaches, so that would be hard, but I'm going to name some really quickly because they stayed with me a long time, or they were with me on my first staff. I had Tracy Atkins, who was with me from the beginning. I have Daryl Holmes with me. Joseph McNeil with me from the beginning. Rick Moe, my longtime line coach. Will Harris, who was with me over 20 years. David Williams, who was a championship coach at Carson, but he was also frost-off coach for me during my early years. We have Maxie Himmels, who was also one of the frost-off coaches. Ralph Caldwell, my longtime defensive coordinator. And my coach who's still with me after 30 years is Charlie Stevens, and my brother. Lastly, I know I'm a little over, but I have to say this. The most important people are the student athletes that we had. They bought into our mission of a program, like Coach Ferragamo said, not just a team. Our mission to use football as a vehicle to help young men and our track ladies become viable contributors to the community. Our vision of having a nationally ranked football program, and our culture of having competitive greatness and giving back to the community. And Coach McAdoo and I went into this with those things in mind, and hopefully we got some of that accomplished. Lastly, to these athletes, have marvelous, marvelous athletes. I was lucky just to be in the right place at the right time, where they just had great young men and young ladies. And to these athletes, you guys gave me the greatest accolade that I could have, and that's the accolade of coach. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. DDP for life.
Julie Russo, Dorsey, 1983.
Julie got her start in coaching at Washington Prep High School. She led the program to postseason appearances in all 5 seasons and won the LA City Section Championship in 1996. Julie spent 2 seasons with the Los Angeles Sparks of the WNBA in the late 90s as the assistant coach, and for 1 year was the head coach the following season. She served as the head women's coach at Pepperdine for 9 seasons. During her tenure, she led the Waves to 3 postseason appearances and a West Coast Conference championship in 2006, leading to an automatic berth in the NCAA tournament.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who has been guiding me throughout my whole life, so I thank him. And I'm also glad that they got a woman up here, at least as one coach, okay? I also salute my fellow Hall of Fame inductees, whose accomplishments I actually researched, and now I wonder how I actually got here. So, a special thanks goes to Dick Dornan. Thank you for all the work that you've done. And those pivotal to my induction, Barbara Figge and Mr. Willie Love. Thank you all so much. I'm truly humbled by this honor. I don't think any of the inductees, including myself, take time to think about the past events and contributions we've made to the world of sports very often. But times like these give us an opportunity to reflect and think about the lives we've touched and those who touched us. My mother, Dr. Sylvia Rousseau, is here. We often ask her, we said, Mom, describe your life. She says, she uses the phrase, I've lived many lives. And so when I consider, when Dick called me, I began to contemplate and think about the many lives that I've been allowed to live in between writing my dissertation and completing my PhD 2 weeks ago. So. I've lived a life of privilege. One was that I was raised by 2 loving parents that really exemplified 1 Corinthians 13 kind of love. My older sisters and brothers who taught me, who were my first coaches. And my 16 nieces and nephews that continue to teach me and keep me up with the times. I know I have 2 minutes, but I just want to go through a few people. Eddie Pops Lynn, who gave us a space to play basketball. Herman Franklin, who allowed me to be on the boys' junior high school basketball team. Wally Pounds, who coached me and taught me the game. And being at Dorsey High School and being able to see Dr. Wells, a woman in a leadership position, and Mr. Love, who was the assistant principal, working together and doing great things on our behalf. I'd like to also thank Marguerite Lamont from Washington Prep, who gave me my first coaching position as the boys' freshman and sophomore team head coach, as well as Phil Chase, who allowed me to be the head coach of the girls' varsity team afterwards. I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to all of my teammates, who we competed against each other, but we also completed each other, as well as the student athletes, obviously, who not only achieved excellence on the court, but as well off the court. It's because of these people and the relationships built that I'm inspired to seek the next opportunity or the next life that I will live. Thank you again to the Hall of Fame. I appreciate you.
It is easy to see why our inductees from the coaches division were so successful and what they meant to the individuals that they coached. Now we move to our athletes, and we will start with Carolyn House Helmuth, Marshall, 1963.
An early childhood interest in the pool led Carolyn to competitive swim meets as a member of the Los Angeles athletic team starting at age 11. Long, strenuous workouts led to a berth on the 1960 United States Olympic team in Rome. And at the age of 14, Carolyn competed in the 400-meter freestyle. Highlights of her career included a 7-time national championship performance in the 1961 Philadelphia finals. Carolyn set records in the 800 and 1500-meter freestyle. The Los Angeles Times recognized Carolyn as the best women's swimmer nationwide in 1961 and again in 1962.
Hello, everybody. I just can't believe this evening and that you want to honor me. I'm kind of choked up, but I'll do the best I can. But I didn't get here without a loving, caring family, starting with my mom and dad. I can't believe all the swim meets they've had to sit through all day long. Oh my goodness. But I do want to mention my lovely family and start with my brother John, who was also a swimmer. And we were at the Olympic trials, and the same night I made the Olympic team, he missed the Olympic team by just 0.6 of 1 second. A blink of an eye, right? And so that was John, and my other brother is Ken, and he was the smart one of the family. He did not go into swimming. And he's here with his lovely wife, Joanne. And now I get to my husband, who has had to put up with me 47, 48 years. Behind me is my daughter, Karen, and she flew down from San Francisco to be with us tonight. And I've got my son here, Brent, and his lovely wife, Armida. And I've got someone else, let's see, someone else at our table. If she could stand up on her chair, you might be able to get a glimpse of my granddaughter, Sophia. She's so cute tonight. So I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
All right, so this guy is a kid that was born in Detroit, broke the Tigers' hearts many times. From Dorsey in 1955, Don Buford.
The two-time All-City second baseman began his brilliant baseball career at USC under the guidance of legendary coach Rod Dedeaux. In 1958, Buford and the Trojans won the NCAA championship. Don broke into the majors in 1963 as an infielder who played both second and third base, becoming the White Sox regular second baseman in 1965. 2 years later, he was traded to the Baltimore Orioles, where his career exploded. Don was a member of the 1970 world champion Orioles and in 1971 made the All-Star team for the American League. In 1993, he was inducted into the Baltimore Orioles Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Dick, and the committee that selected me for this tremendous honor, and I'm very proud to receive it on that behalf of Dorsey High School. That's where I learned so much. First of all, I'd like to thank the most important people. I met my wife at Dorsey High School, and that's Alicia Jackson. She's sitting there taking the time. And the important part about this is that when I wanted to take her out on a date, she had 5 sisters. So I take all 5 sisters, so I know that would influence mom and dad. So that was a lot of fun. Then we had 3 boys. Gerald is my middle son. He's an attorney. Don Jr. is an orthopedic doctor. And Damon played 9 years in the major leagues. That's all I had. it was a lot of fun, and here's how it all started. When I left Dorsey, none of the Big Ten schools wanted me on their athletic team, and I couldn't get any athletic assistants. So I went to LA City College. There, I decided to go to USC as a walk-on. So being a walk-on, I went over and talked to Coach Rod Dato, and I said, Coach, can I come out for the baseball team? He said, sure, Tiger, because everybody was Tiger there. He said, sure, come on out. So fine, come on out, I'm on the team. Halfway through the season, spring training football starts, and I said, Coach, can I get athletic aid for next year? He says, I've used up all my scholarships, so it'll be kind of difficult. I said, well, Coach, I played football at Dorsey, and I also played at LA City College, so maybe I can make the football team. So he went out and talked to Don Clark and the other coaches and said, hey, let Donnie come out. You know, you need tackling dummies out there for practice. Anyway. So I was the number 7th running back on the football team in spring training. But I guarantee you, Dorsey, I was number 1 and 2 before it was over with. So my good fortune playing at SC, like you said, in 1958 we won the College World Series. So in 7 and 8 I was playing football too. And the most important part of that is I made UCLA's all-opponent team, Notre Dame's all-opponent team. Okay, Notre Dame tried to pull a trick on us at SC because I'm still 5'7". And 150 to 55 pounds, and so they put a flanker out, Monty Stickles, who was all-American pass receiver. So they sent him out on a flanker. So you had to play one-on-one. I was a defensive left safety. Guarantee you, he didn't catch a pass the whole game, I intercepted 2. That's how I made their all-opponent team. Professionally too, it was it's kind of funny. In the years that we signed, there was no scouting and things like they're done today, no draft. So Hollis Thurston and Doc Bennett, who were the scouts for the White Sox, followed my career from Dorsey and then City College and then through SC. And by playing football, they felt I had enough strength to play professional baseball. So I signed with the White Sox. And so I spent 3 years in the minor leagues and went up the 4th year. I replaced Nellie Fox, the Hall of Famer, at second base with the White Sox. And then I was the MVP in AAA the year before. So that's how I got to the big leagues and kind of assured that I'd be there for a while. Ended up being in 3 World Series with the Orioles, 1969, 70, 71. Led off for the first player to lead off a home run in his first at bat in the World Series. So be it. So I've had a lot of good fortune. I could tell you a lot of stories, but the key thing is there was a lot of mentors that I had at Dorsey. Bud Brubaker was an outstanding coach, and he used to punt to me in football, so that made it easier for me to make the football team at SC. He was also the baseball coach, and so kind of a dual situation there. And then I had some outstanding coaches I'll never forget, all the ones that made it possible for me to excel and be an accomplished athlete. The other part that I'd like to do is thank a family that's here, the Carr family. The Carr family, just raise your hand. You don't have to stand, you're older than I am. They bought a table to come, and Charlie Carr was a halfback before at Dorsey, and he was like real shifty and stuff. So I emulated myself after him, so I learned a lot from Charlie. I could take a long time, guys. This is very short, but thank you very much to the committee. Thank you. Congratulations to all of the honorees.
Remember what he said at the beginning. He said he met his wife at Dorsey High School, and before he had to take her out, she had 5 sisters, and he had to take all of them out, and he said, yeah, that was okay. You know what? That was more than okay, Don. Willie Crawford, Fremont.
A member of the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers in 1965, Willie Crawford was signed by the great Tommy Lasorda just 2 days after his graduation from Fremont High School. He was a standout in baseball, football, and track. Crawford won all city honors in baseball and football and ran the 100-yard dash in 9.7 seconds. He also placed second in the long jump at the 1962 LA City Finals. Willie spent his first 12 seasons of his 14-year baseball major league career with the Dodgers. Then he finished up at the age of 30 after spending his final 2 seasons with the Cardinals, Astros, and A's. Willie passed away in 2004 at the age of 57.
I'm Willie's oldest daughter, Toy Crawford, and I'm really honored to accept this on behalf of my family, Dee Crawford, Willie Crawford II, my sister Holiday, and my nephew, Michael Lanier. But I'm going to read something that Brad Pye Jr. wrote about 15 years ago, and he actually is already in the CIF Hall of Fame. Let's hear it for Willie Crawford like we heard it when he smacked a single in the 1965 World Series as a 19-year-old all-city baseball, football, and track and field star fresh out of Fremont High. Let's hear it for our hero Willie, who had the talent to become an even bigger star in college and in pro football than he was in Dodger Blue. He signed his letter of intent to play football at USC. I marveled at Willie's talents as one of the best long jumpers in the history of the city and probably the country. I marveled at his kindness and at his generosity with his time, his talent, and I marveled at his humbleness. I praised him for never forgetting his roots or his friends. Willie was a great athlete, and more than that, he was thoughtful, he was kind, and Willie didn't complain. Willie once told me I've had some good days and some bad days, but all of my good days have far outweighed my bad days because God has been good to me. That's the Willie Crawford I knew, the Willie Crawford I call a friend. Willie told me many, many times he would let me sign him to the Angels if the price was right. Well, as we know, the price was never right. And Tommy Lasorda made Willie Crawford a happy Dodger in Dodger Blue. He became known as the bonus baby. Throughout his baseball career and thereafter, Willie and I remained the best of friends. I count it a privilege to have known you. I am equally as proud to call you my friend. Willie, I would have hoped that you lived for 100 years, and I would have lived for 100 years less one day, that I would have never known that such a good friend has passed away. Brad Pye Jr., Switch Reels.
Lucius Harris, Cleveland. 1982.
It was a spectacular season in 1989 in which he received all city honors playing for Cleveland High. Lucius went to Long Beach State, where he established himself as one of the greatest 49er players of all time. He was a 2-time All-Big West player who was the school's all-time leading scorer. In addition, Harris was the school's single-season leading scorer, putting in 739 points in the 1992-93 campaign. He ended his collegiate career as the all-time scoring leader in Big West Conference history. Lucius spent 12 years in the NBA playing for Dallas, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Cleveland. He accumulated more than 5,700 points, 1,800 rebounds, and 1,100 assists in more than 800 professional games.
It's kind of tough for me. I would say thank you to the Hall of Fame for inducting me, and they do a great job of tracking you down. But I want to say I have a few people that's here today. My best friend Tim Bourne from actually junior elementary school, basically. Miss Lassiter, one of our counselors at our school in high school, and Trent Cornelius, the only guy that's ever dunked on me in high school. I still remember that. And my college coaches, Seth Greenberg, my high school coach, Bobby Braswell, and my family, which supported me as well. And I just want to say thank you for everybody, all these inductees and the past inductees are some great people, great athletes in the city of LA. Thank you.
Toya Dupree Holiday, John F. Kennedy, 1981.
A 2-time All-City basketball player, John F. Kennedy, Toya was a pioneer in women's basketball at the high school level. She was one of the top prospects hailing from the San Fernando Valley, who ultimately chose to attend Arizona State. In 1982, she was named the Pac-10 Conference Freshman of the Year. She transferred to U.S. International University and was named the Player of the Year in the West Coast Athletic Conference. Toya and her husband, Sean, are the proud parents of 3 NBA players. Justin plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, Drew with the New Orleans Pelicans, and Aaron of the Indiana Pacers. Their daughter, Lauren, played basketball at UCLA.
First and foremost, I do want to just thank God for my privileged life. I say that because I do feel blessed that I've just had so many people around me that have supported me throughout my whole life. I do want to thank LA Unified and City Section CIF, because without them, in 1981, they were, in California, they were cutting girls' sports. And I remember standing out picketing for Title IX, that no, we need this. And I do think, I thank that support from LA Unified, because without them, I wouldn't have seen a lot of my dreams, and my children wouldn't have seen their dreams. I also like to thank my mother and father. They encouraged me just to do what I wanted to do, encouraged me to be who I wanted to be, and I thank them for that. I'd like to thank John F. Kennedy. That community was such an awesome community, not just for me, but for my whole family, my sisters, my brothers, cousins, everyone that went through there. You know, looking at one of my counselors, just looking at her tonight, thinking, I've been just so blessed that I had people just encourage me to do my best and be my best. I definitely want to thank my high school coach, Craig Robb, that's here tonight. Such a wonderful man. When I went into Kennedy in 10th grade, I thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. Thank you, Coach Rob, for letting me know that. I learned so much from him. I learned not just basketball skills, but life skills. And I really do believe those life skills helped my husband and I raising our children and teaching them their life skills. So, Coach, I thank you for everything. As I look back, I think about the places I've been, and it's because of the things that Coach Rob has taught me. I thank all of you guys for being here tonight. I'm just so proud to be part of this 2019 class. This is so amazing. And I just want to thank, again, LA Unified City Section CIF, because without you, I wouldn't be standing here. So thank you.
So, you know, Toya and I share something. She went to Arizona State, and my son Jack is a basketball player, and he was at Arizona State. And as much as I love my wife, and I've been married for 26 years, I do want to say that if I was married to Toya, Jack would be in the NBA. So, let's just keep that between us. Lori Moore, Narbonne, 2001.
Lori made her mark in the basketball world as a standout for the Narbonne High School Gauchos. As a senior in 2001, she helped the Lady Gauchos capture a second consecutive state Division I championship. During her high school career, Moore was part of a program that won 115-7 in 4 seasons, with 2 state championships and 2 USA Today mythical national championships. Lori went on to play for the legendary head coach Pat Summitt at Tennessee. In 2005, she was drafted as the number 10 overall pick by the New York Liberty. Moore played 5 years in the WNBA and in 2007 made the all-defensive second team.
Thank you to everyone that came out tonight to support the inductees. This is, for me, kind of reading the background of them. I'm honored to be the youngin here, so to say. But thank you to the committee as well for the honor. Very gracious. I have to thank my mother. I come from a single parent background. My father passed away when I was younger. My brother's here tonight, Brian Hunter, and the rest of my family and friends, which I'm not going to go down the line. But thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. But the last 5.5 years for me has kind of been a roller coaster. And my mother had Alzheimer's, and I took care of her. So I kind of took my life on board to take care of my mother. So that was about 5.5 years. She passed away in 2017 in May. So May 15, 2018 will be 2 years since she hasn't been here. But everything that I've done, I did for my mother. And I am because of my mother. And I just appreciate everyone that came out for all of us. And I just appreciate this honor very much. Very gracious. Thank you.
For anyone that has lost someone they love deeply, as I've lost my parents when I was young, the story we just heard, you know, the thing I always tell our kids is that even though we've lost someone and we can't see them, they're always with us every day in our heart. And that's the story you told. Now we move on. Oh, this man has a vineyard. So everybody drink up. Vince Ferragamo, Banning, 1975.
Brother of fabled Banning coach Chris Ferragamo, Vince carved his own niche with an outstanding playing career at Nebraska and then with the Los Angeles Rams. The LA City Player of the Year in 1971, Ferragamo played 2 years for the Cal Bears, then his final 2 seasons for the Cornhuskers, where he was named an All-American in 1976. He spent 9 years in the National Football League, 7 of which were with his hometown Rams. Vince started for the Rams in Super Bowl 14, making him the first quarterback to start a Super Bowl in the same season as his first career start. His career statistics include throwing for 11,336 yards and 76 touchdowns.
Well, my brother wanted me to make sure we recognize the women inductees tonight because you have to forgive him. He started coaching in the 1920s, so they didn't have women's sports back in those days. And I want to tip my hat to Fred Rogan here for Going Rogan on Channel 4 NBC. He's promoting high school sports, and he's coming out here all the time to his Hall of Fame banquet, Fred. And you know, Rodney Pete and Mr. Papadakis are carrying you on that show. So anyway, my brother was up here earlier, and I really feel very delighted, very honored, very humbled to receive this award. I received a few awards in the past, but this one's awful special to me because both myself and my brother are being honored the same night. And it's really about the coaching that an athlete gets in high school because it lays the foundation for future years. And I was able to profit from what he was able to teach us, not only myself, but everybody else that's gone through Bannon. And we're in the Marine League. LA City Schools, the strongest in the nation. I can tell you that because I competed at the college level and the pro level. We had the Marine League back then, Carson Bannon. But you know what? Before I went to high school, I was 9th grade, came out of Wilmington, and I was thinking maybe I'll go to Carson. Played for Gene Valnego. That didn't go very far. Not in my household. The man that stopped me right there in my tracks was my dad. And he set me straight. That's the best advice I ever got. Was to go play for my brother Chris. And you know, I was the baby of the family. You have 2 tables here. Chris introduced everybody. And you know, I had the run of the mill of the house. So I thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. Get to go play for my brother. Wow, was I wrong? I was in for a rude awakening. It was tough. It was tough. Great work ethic. Never missed a day. And I'm sure a lot of the other inductees are very punctual. They have a passion. He had a passion to coach. Even when you get in a household, I got my wine, everything's at the table, all this Italian food's going. He's drawing up plays on a napkin at the table. This kind of really epitomizes the work ethic that we had at Bannon. And as the family knows, I really love poems. It's a quick little poem. I want to just read it for you. It's How to Be a Champion. You wonder how they do it, and you look to see the neck. You watch the foot in action, or the shoulder, or the back. But when you spot the answer where the higher glamours lurk, you will find, with concentration mixed with much determination, that most of it is practice and the rest of it is work. And that's what we did. We worked and worked and worked. We outworked our opponents. And you know what? That carried over to my college days at Nebraska and at Cal, and then with the Rams. And so, I mean, I think everyone's gone through that, but you're most impressionistic when you're at the high school level, and this is the LA City Southern Section, CIF. And I want to thank the Hall of Fame for inducting myself into the Hall of Fame. And there's so many great players that are being inducted, but I have to single out a couple other people that are in the room tonight that really made it fun for me. John Matisich was a coach that really kept me in sports, actually. Kept my brother coaching. When you're at your all-time lowest level, your friend will pick you up. He'll put your arm around you and say, it's not that bad, it's gonna get better. That Dallas game we had, we got killed. The next year we went back to Dallas. He says, hang in there. We beat Dallas, went on the Super Bowl. Eddie Barreras, another great coach, coached with my brother, made it fun for the guys. And there's just something about the charisma that people have. So thank you very much for this honor tonight, but the real guy that was the best athlete in our family, I have to tell you this, Fred, is my brother Mike. I learned so much from watching him play. And he was the best athlete, the best football player by far. It just that I got a chance to play longer than he did. Thank you very much for tonight. Thank you.
Freeman McNeil, Banning, 1977, represented by his brother, Russell.
After leading Banning High School to the 1976 Los Angeles City football title and being named the LA City Player of the Year, Freeman attended UCLA, where he was a two-time All-Pac-10 conference selection. He rushed for 3,195 yards and 21 touchdowns in his career while collecting 17 100-yard rushing games. McNeil earned All-American honors in 1980 and is a member of the UCLA Hall of Fame. Freeman was taken third overall in the 1981 NFL Draft and played for 12 seasons with the New York Jets. A three-time NFL Pro Bowl selection and the NFL's leading rusher in 1982, he retired as the Jets' all-time leading rusher.
He said, you look taller than I thought. Now, come on. Really? I look a lot shorter and more Jewish in person. I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. It's an honor to be up here to accept this award from my brother. And I just want to, from the little time I talked to him, he want to thank the committee for allowing him, for you guys to select him. And another thing, he want to thank the community, Banning High School, for always being behind it. And he like to thank all the coaches. Coach Perez, please stand. Stand on the chair, they can see you. That was his running back coach at Banning. He loved that man, but the most of all, he told me to tell Coach Farragut, I'm gonna stand up, please. Oh yeah, you don't like to get orders, so. He wanted me to tell you that he really loved the way that you brought everything out of him. And excuse me, everyone. And he said he want to thank you for giving him the opportunity to play for you. And he said, God bless you. He said if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't have a career. And he just want to let you know that he appreciated everything you've done for him. And everybody there, all the coaches at Banning. So this is my everything. I'm not going to be long-winded or whatever. Fred, you can have the mic back, but you have a nice evening.
You know, it's funny. I just want to say this on a personal note. When people have had an opportunity to run into me over the years, and I've been at Channel 4 for 39 of them, really the first thing they always say to me is, my God, you're so much shorter than I thought you were. And I always say the same thing. Well, no, I'm really not. But when you're watching me, you're either laying or sitting down and looking up. So that's on you. That's not on me. All right. Have we done John Smith?
Regarded as the world's premier track and field sprint and hurdles coach, John Smith's rise to stardom began at Fremont High School. In 1968, he was the LA City champion in the 440-yard dash. He also won the long jump and was part of a championship 880-yard relay team. He attended UCLA, where in 1972 he was the NCAA champ in the 400 meters and the 440-yard dash champ in 1971. After a very successful career at the professional level, Smith became a renowned coach for the United States. He has trained the very best in the sport: Maurice Green, Otto Bolden, Carmelita Jeter, and English Gardner, just to name a few. John is one of the most decorated U.S. Olympic track and field coaches in the history of the game.
Actually, you're taller than I thought.
That was so unnecessary.
Let me acknowledge my wife before I get started. Alicia, stand up for 35 years. Stand up, lady. And one of my dear friends that we met, they didn't have sand back in those days. They had sawdust. Steve Lang, stand up. Steve was high jumping in the sawdust pit, and I was long jumping in the long jump pit. And we both had 501 Levi's, 14-inch stitch. You know, he had his stingy brim hat, the same one he got on right now. But I love you, man. That's my brother from a different mother. I want to say that the Crawfords, Willie Crawford was a hero of mine. Let's give him a hand, please. There are certain people that come before you that inspire you. And I long jump because of Willie. I played baseball because of Willie. The only thing I was forced to run the 400, which I didn't like. But you have people who come before you. I remember when we were at Drew Junior High School, and we had Charlie Dumas, who was the gold medalist, in I think 56 or 60 Olympics. The historian got it right. And we were talking, and we said, "Oh, Coach Dumas, you don't got no gold medal." And he said, "If you got to bring it to the school." He brought it to school. Now, mind you, I played everything: football, baseball, basketball. But when I saw that gold medal, I was hooked. There was nothing that meant more to me than the coming to school and emulating my coach. He was my first coach I actually had. And it hit me real deep. So as I started my running, I realized that there were certain things that came with it. The responsibility, you had to be careful what you were saying and how you acted. And I started understanding the responsibility that we have as athletes, because especially nowadays, and then I became a coach. And I remember at UCLA, and I have to thank Bob Larson for giving me a shot, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here right now. And he said, "How would you like to coach?" Nah, I can't do that. He said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I got a couple of acting gigs going." He said, "What are you doing right now?" I said, "Nothing." And I told him, I said, "I'm trying to find every way out of this. And he said, I said, okay, coach, what if I got a gig? He said, well, we'll cross that when you get to it. I said, damn, can't get out of that one. I said, let me think about it. So I went to my wife and told her. She said, well, honey, I'll support you. So I went back up to the school and he asked me and I said, yes. And the first day I was out at practice, I was talking. And I was explaining to them the drills and all the stuff and the philosophy of everything. And I said, well, follow me over here and I'll show you the drills. And I was ahead of them and I heard this ruffling of 50 young men get up and started walking. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to influence these 50 people. And I said, I got to say exactly what it is, and you can't be essing. You can't do it. So that responsibility holds to me right now. And I want to thank Dick. Now, this guy, he needs to run because he pursued me for 6 months. And the irony of it is, I'm in the gym. I'm supposed to be at the Penn Relays, and I decided not to go. And I told Dick, I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it here. And Dick says, okay, well, let me know, just like Bob Larson, let me know, and I'll make it work. So I'm in the Gold's Gym working out. And one of the producers for Concussion, named Larry Schumann, came up to me and said, hey, how you doing? He said, I hear you're getting inducted. I said, oh my God. I said, it's supposed to be on the 28th. That was Thursday. I'm like, oh my God. So I called him up and I came here. And I want to tell you that to be honored is one of the things that you do as a coach. You don't do it for money. You want to do something for money, go to Wall Street. You know, make people's lives miserable. If you want to make people's lives, especially young men and women, teach, coach, parent them, love them, and you will receive things 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. There's nothing. Oh, by the way, if I go over, anybody leave out there, I got a bottle of wine for you. But I've been blessed, and sitting up here listening to all of the inductees, we need to just give all of them a hand right now. Because you have inspired me to go back and continue to do what I do and do it better. God bless all of you.
I'll tell you what, I mean, you look at John and his incredible accomplishments, and he mentioned something that I think is really important. You know, given how they tried to track him down and found him in the gym. And he actually did think that this ceremony was on Thursday night. And when everyone found out that he couldn't be there, they changed it to tonight. So. Hal Harkness, North Hollywood, 1956.
A career devoted to education-based athletics, Hal spent 53 years in a variety of roles, making a positive impact upon the local high school landscape. From 1986 to 1993, Hal served as the commissioner of the CIF Los Angeles City Section. As the fourth commissioner in the 84-year history of the section, Hal played an integral role in the development and growth of high school athletics for the Los Angeles Unified School District. He is a proud recipient of the Distinguished Service Award, both from the California Interscholastic Federation and the CIF Southern Section.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you to all of those of you who were responsible for this award. It's extremely meaningful because this all started for me in the fall of 1944, that long ago,
at Carpenter Avenue Elementary and went all the way through the spring of 2010, where after 17 years after I retired as commissioner, I ceased being the meet manager for track and cross country. It's been a great ride, a wonderful experience. Nothing I would not do again the same way. And many thanks to my wife of 58 years, Kathy, who really has been the driving force behind everything that I've done. One quick aside about Willie Crawford. In the spring of 1964, I was still at Gompers Junior High Middle School now, before I went to Wilson that fall. And I was volunteering in the long jump at the city championship meet at East LA. And Willie had hurt himself playing baseball that week and had to jump off the wrong foot, which any of you who have tried to do something off your not dominant leg or foot know is not very difficult. To show how gifted he was, he jumped well over 24 feet that day, which was just unbelievable. And I, all these years later, have not forgotten that as one of the more remarkable performances I've seen. Thank you all very much.
Sue Kamayama.
As a teacher, coach, athletic director, official, and administrator while at Bell High School for 32 years. She started as a PE teacher and head of the Girls Athletic Association in 1972 and became the athletic director at Bell in 1978. Sue was a member of the CIF State Federated Council, served on the LA City Section Executive Committee, and also chaired the CIF Equity Committee. She was the president of the California Athletic Directors Association, vice chairperson of the LA City Section Interscholastic Athletic Commission, chaired the LA City Section Rules Committee for 15 years, and was also a member of the Coaches Los Angeles Women's Sports. Sue passed away in 2004 at the age of 54.
I've done a lot of things in my life, but this is probably the hardest, to speak to my wife. You can see her former colleagues are here, former players, and all the wonderful friends she has accumulated for all these years. I can never thank you enough. My family is here, my son Darren, my son Stephen, my daughter-in-law Lori, my daughter Lauren, my two grandkids, Kenzie and Aiden. They can never thank you enough for all you did as a friend to my wife. She's done a lot, but one thing she did do as a good person, and my son will tell you, Darren, she never brought her work home. When she came to the door, it was about her family. She never talked about work, never talked about the kids at school, never talked about anything. It was her family. But when she went to work, she took care of all the kids. She made a lot of great kids into wonderful people. And that's what it was all about. But like Hal's known her for so long, but to everybody here, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's tough not having her for 14 years now, but the two people that I think who took the biggest blow on this one are my two grandkids, who never know who their grandma was. But I got news for you. Every day I talk to them, I show pictures of them, and they know who their grandma is now. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the people who came tonight. I know some of you people came pretty far. Thank you very much. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Eric Sottenheimer, Polytechnic, 1976.
Eric Sottenheimer has been covering high school sports in Southern California since the day he graduated from Poly High School in Sun Valley in 1976. A graduate of Cal State Northridge, he joined the Daily News as prep editor in 1980. He left for 18 months in 1990 to be the West Coast correspondent for the National Sports Daily. Eric returned to the Daily News in 1981 and then joined the LA Times in 1997, covering high school sports every step of the way. Eric has been honored 6 times by the California Prep Sports Writers Association for Best Prep Sports Column. Eric continues to be the premier high school sports reporter in Southern California.
Well, I'm 5'3". I run a 7'1" 40-yard dash. I lift 50 pounds, and I'm Jewish. So what am I doing here? This is either the greatest mistake or the greatest honor to be inducted into a Sports Hall of Fame. So thank you very much. But the truth is, I was cut from the 7th grade basketball team at Madison Junior High. I want to thank the coach who did that, because I learned very early on that it's much better to write about the team than to be part of a bad team. So thank you very much. But it's an honor to be here with so many people that I've had the fortune to meet, to observe, to write about through the years. I've been doing this since 1976, so that's a long time. I've made fun of the city section and the LA Unified School District because I'm a graduate, and I understand the frustration that some of you have with it. But fortunately, I'm inspired by there's so many great coaches out there who sacrifice, and so many players who I get to tell their stories. And that's all I do. I love telling stories. I'm passionate about it. I hope I can keep doing it for even more. I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming. My brother Michael started writing 3 years before me, and I kind of followed him. Everybody at table 21, thank you for putting up with me. And then finally, I want to say thanks to Fred Rogan. I've been to so many banquets where Fred has volunteered to be the master of ceremonies. Today's joke was his best ever, however, about the holidays. I'm going to tell his wife about that one. But thank you very much.
I want to say something. Come over here. Hey, he's the only guy shorter than I am in the room. Anyway, you know, there's something to be said about establishing a brand in today's world, and we didn't think about it many years ago, and pursuing it because it's a labor of love. And in doing so, establishing yourself as the best, the very best. And that's what Eric has done. He is, I have to tell you something, he's not the best prep sports writer. And so many of you in this room have been written about by Eric. He's not the best prep sports writer in Southern California. And he's really not the best in the state of California. And I'm being dead serious. This is the #1 guy in America. He is truly the best at what he does. And I say congratulations to you. All right, Eric. Oh, good. So this leads us to another Dudnik I know. Randy Rosenblum, North Hollywood, 1969.
Randy is the voice of the LA City Section. If you've ever watched an LA City Section championship event on television or on the internet, then you've heard the distinctive golden voice of Randy Rosenblum. The former All-East Valley League shot putter at North Hollywood High School turned his grunts in for play-by-play calls after graduation in 1969. Randy has announced over 100 championship games on television in a variety of sports for the section spanning over 3 decades. His unique and distinguishable voice has been heard on Prime Ticket, Spectrum, Time Warner Cable, KCOP, KLCS, KDOC, LA 36, and the NFHS network, covering all the exciting city section action.
Let's go back to September 1969. We will. 4th down and 1 for Fairfax at the North Hollywood 1-yard line. No score, opening half. Sweep to the left side with Harrison. He turns it upfield and he's tackled for a loss at the 5-yard line. Randy Rosenblum made the tackle.
Are you kidding me? The ball goes over on downs.
Rosenblum made the tackle? Rosenblum? He stinks.
I love the color analytical work of Jake Downey. He tells it like it is. Well, that North Hollywood football team and Randy Rosenblum were synonymous for one thing. We were the worst team, and this is truthful, and I've covered them all, the worst squad in the history of the LA City section. And it isn't close. North Hollywood, in my senior campaign, had a robust record of 0-8. And they tallied 1 touchdown, 6 points. And it came when we were down 34-0 to Verdugo Hills. Thank you, Art Bills, for scoring, or it would have been shut out the whole season. And I was awful on that football team. You can imagine how bad I was and how horrible that football unit was as well. That's it. That was my career. Didn't get any better than that. I did throw the shot put. I was fortunate enough to go 51-7.5, which is a pretty good mark. But my back went out from a bad hit in football, and I didn't compete very long, so I didn't go very far in the tournament, in the city tournament at the end. I went to the quarterfinals. I do want to clarify a few things here tonight. One in particular, Eric Sondheimer. He is not my husband. We are not married. And I know as we get older, we start to look a lot alike. Because Eric, everywhere I go, Eric may not know this, they ask me, where's Eric? Or, I loved your column. I've never written a column. It's always Eric. We don't even live together. But I do love Eric, and I love his passion for what he does. He's a brilliant reporter, and I've followed in his footsteps a lot covering preps. I had some other venues prior to getting into the high school arena, and Eric paved the way for me, and I sincerely appreciate that. And as I said, Eric is not my significant other, but Catherine is. We've been married for over a decade now. And as all you know, behind the play-by-play announcer is an outstanding color analyst. And she's done the color analytical work on my life, the big game of life, so she does the color in life. I want to thank some of my closest friends that are here tonight. We have a slew of them here. Can't thank them all, but there's 3 in particular that have been with me prior to North Hollywood and through North Hollywood. Lou Finkelberg, a swimmer at North Hollywood, graduated in 1969, and his wife Miriam. Ron Saltman, Dr. Ron Saltman, tennis, 1969, and the #1 singles player, Dave Campanelli, Dr. Campanelli from North Hollywood High School. Glad he's here. He drove from Oregon to come down for the dinner tonight, and I sincerely appreciate that. I also want to thank LA 36. Carla Carlini, table behind us there, I think it's 23. 27, okay. It's growing, their legend is growing. By the way, Fred, you're better looking in person. Carla Carlini's been there for 13 years, and she's been a strong supporter of the LA City section. And at times in the good old days, it wasn't easy to get television exposure for this body. And Carla Carlini and LA 36 have paved the way, and they're still doing it with SoCal Prep Report. Rich and Bob are over there representing the show. I'm part of that program as well. And with SoCal Prep Report, they're still doing LA City section material, and I think that's great. And I want to thank LA 36. That should keep my job for another couple of weeks. I'm not done yet. Fred, when do you have to go back on the air? I will. We could do a lot of work here. This could be a lot of fun. Jake said it correctly. I was not the greatest athlete in the world, and that play, it really happened. It was my one really good play, but obviously we didn't win the football game. We got shut out 20-0.
But it did lead to me falling in love with sports and finding my passion in life. And because of it, I've been able to call games for 5 decades at all levels. And so I owe a lot to that high school career, to Bob Bach, football coach, who's no longer with us, and all the Huskies and Husky Nation, and what that did for me to become a broadcaster over the years. So it did pave the way. And one thing before I leave, which will make Fred a little happier, is I was always thinking about what Terry Bradshaw said when he was at the Super Bowl. He backed up, he said he was at the line of scrimmage, and he wanted to take in because he didn't know what that was going to feel like playing in the Super Bowl. So I have done that. I have followed his motto at certain times in my career. And the first time I thought about what Terry said was when I was working with Coach John Wooden. Coach and I were fortunate enough to do UCLA basketball after the coach retired. And it happened at a time, it was before a Stanford game, and I looked in and I said, God, Randy, you're so fortunate. You looked up to the UCLA program growing up, and the legend of Westwood is right there with you. And I realized how lucky I was to be with the coach. And it was at a time when his wife, Nell, was about to pass away. It was also a time my mom had a stroke. So it was more than basketball for the coach and I when we worked together. So those are memories I'll never forget. And I thank the coach because he was strong by my side. And then in 2004, before the gold medal when the United States was trying to win in rowing, and that meant a lot to me, to take it that far, to go the distance in the broadcast arena. And right before the heavyweight eights started out of this starting gate, I said to myself, Randy, you've worked all your life for this. Cherish that moment, go for it, make the call, and love it. And I think, hit the mark on the call, and it was a great memory in my life, and the United States won its first gold medal in 40 years in that event. It was great to have that call on NBC in prime time. And now that takes us to tonight. I had a lot of events. I had those 2 fond memories. But I want to step back tonight and realize and cherish this moment that Randy Rosenblum is in the LA City Section Hall of Fame. Good night, everybody.
You're in the City Section Hall of Fame. Do you want your award?
Do I deserve it? I'm Jewish.
It's amazing. I've known Randy for years, and he and I both do Olympic coverage for NBC. And I sit here and I'm so touched by the story he told of the team that struggled so mightily at North Hollywood High School and went 0-8. And you wonder to yourself, how could a high school football team not win a game when one of their stars' last name is Rosenblum? It's not like you're Sid Luckman, my friend. It's not like you used to, oh God.
It's near the end of the night. We were horrible. We were Jewish, for God's sake. How are we going to win a game? We ran the 40 in about eight minutes.
Oh, I thought you were going to thank somebody else. Okay. Next up, something? He might have been the best official in NFL history. Jim Tunney, LAUSD.
Regarded as the dean of the NFL referees, Jim's illustrious 31-year career in the National Football League has earned him a nomination to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. From 1960 to 1980, Jim received a record 29 postseason assignments, including 10 championship games and 3 Super Bowls. Off the field, Jim had a long career as an LAUSD educator and school administrator. He began as a teacher in 1951 at Lincoln High School, later became vice principal from 1959 to 64. He then served as the principal at Fairfax from 1964 to 1971 and at Franklin from 72 and 73, and finished up at Hollywood from 1973 to 1975. The legendary Jim Tunney.
Following Randy, in conclusion,
Fred, I appreciate what you do here. This is terrific. Thank you very much. I enjoyed the introduction. However, they did leave out one thing that I'm forced to mention. When I was invited to join the NFL in 1960 as a referee, they had a qualification examination, 100 points. I got the highest score since ever recorded. I got 98 out of 100. I only failed in eyesight and judgment. Thank you. I am really honored to be here. This is a very important day for all the inductees, and I congratulate them. But more than that, I found some time ago that there are only two important days in your life. The day you're born, and the day you found out why. And for most of my life, I worked on finding out why. As a teacher, as a coach, as a high school principal, school superintendent, as an NFL referee, I was always searching for a better way. How can I do this a little bit better than it's been done before? I knew that I wasn't smart enough to do one myself, so I looked for mentors. I didn't have to look very far. My father was my first mentor, my hero, my role model. All things he did. My mom was the same way. Mom raised all the kids. Dad was out working 3 jobs at a time. And I looked for mentors every place I went. Bud Brubaker, that you mentioned, that Donnie mentioned, and Norm Schachter in LA City Schools were mentors in the school business as well as in referee. When I look for a mentor, I look for 2 things. A high value of integrity. A high value of integrity. And a strong sense of faith. See, that integrity gives you a mental compass, a purpose, a place to do something, and do it with the best that you possibly can do it. The faith is for the purpose in life and for the goodness that gives you the hope that you'll do better what you do. And I really enjoyed having that opportunity. Being here tonight with all of you is a distinct honor, and I'm really very grateful for that. As both people have done, let me introduce the people who supported me here. Would my wife, Linda, please stand? Somebody told me the other day, you have outpunted your coverage. I don't think I have. My daughter Maureen and husband John are here. Their 2 boys, Jake and Dan, both played at Cleveland High School and successful baseball players at Cleveland. My son Michael came from Phoenix. Thank you, Mike, for being here. My friend Bruce Martin, that I've known for years and years. And one of the finest referees that we have today in the National Football League. Would you please welcome Carl Sheffers. Carl, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the time. I appreciate all you've done. And thank you so much.
Jim, great to see you. Thank you. Carl Sheffers. I gotta tell you, Jim really, if you've watched football for any period of time in your life, with all due respect, Carl, you're here. I gotta tell you what, Jim was pretty damn good as an official. And I'll agree with Jim. He really outkicked his coverage on that with his wife. Just a terrific guy. All right, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna name the legacy group, and they will all be played in one video. So let's make sure we get them all right. Nate Berringer, Montz Blair, Milt Davis, Fred Haney, Gene Hoffman, Joe Jers, Mickey Riley, Woody Strode, Charles Toney, Adam Walsh, and Louis Zamperini.
Nate Berringer, San Fernando, 1925, football. A USC All-American and All-Pro lineman for the Green Bay Packers. Montz Blair, Polytechnic, 1908, basketball. USC basketball captain and head coach. Milt Davis, Jefferson, 1947, football. All-Pro defensive back for the Baltimore Colts. Fred Haney, Polytechnic, 1918, baseball. Major League player, manager of the World Series champion Milwaukee Braves, and general manager of the California Angels. Gene Hoffman, Los Angeles, 1934, contributor, journalist for the Los Angeles Times and the Philadelphia Evening Bulletin. Joe Jarris, Hamilton, 1955, contributor, journalist for the Los Angeles Times, Daily News, Herald Express, and Sports Illustrated. Mickey Riley, Roosevelt, 1927, aquatics, member of the International Swimming and Diving Hall of Fame. Woody Strode, Jefferson, 1934, football. After a Hall of Fame career at UCLA, Woody was one of the very first African Americans to break the color barrier, playing in the National Football League as a member of the Los Angeles Rams. He also played on a Grey Cup champion in Canada. After football, Woody had a distinguished career in Hollywood as an actor. Charles Toney, Manual Arts, 1917, track and field. Two-time state track and field champion as head coach at Manual Arts High School. Adam Walsh, Hollywood, 1921, football. Notre Dame All-American, head coach of the NFL champion Cleveland Rams, and member of the College Football Hall of Fame. Louis Zamperini, Torrance, 1935, track and field. 1934 California State Mile champion. 1936 Olympian, two-time NCAA Mile champion at USC, and a member of 3 NCAA championship teams as a Trojan.
The legacy group, these 11 members represent the best of setting the legacy and the tradition of the LA City section from 1900 through 1960. When I was asked to contact all the inductees and the legacy group, the biggest challenge was to find family members of the legacy group who could be here tonight. I am very honored that 3 of the 11 legacy members, family members, are here tonight to receive their award on behalf of their loved one. First of all, let's welcome up the brother of Joe Jars, the great sports writer, one of the best we've ever had, Frank Jars. Next up, all the way from Hawaii, representing Woody Strode, her daughter-in-law, Pamela. If you were not aware, Torrance High School, which is currently a member of the CIF Southern section, was originally a member of the Los Angeles City section before they left. And one of the greatest athletes of all time at Torrance, and USC, and the Olympics. And if you were fortunate enough to see the great movies that have been recently shown in honor of this gentleman, it's absolutely just mind-boggling how special this night is. So on behalf of the great Torrance athlete, Louis Zamperini, tonight his son, Luke, is here to receive the award. Final stage, just want to say a final few things. First of all, this journey began a year ago right now, in April of 2018, when the Hall of Fame Selection Committee got together. We met 3 different times, going through over probably 120 names, and trying to figure out the 20 and 19 class. So first of all, I want to thank every Hall of Fame selection committee member. If you are here, please stand up. If it wasn't for you, Dr. Love, Tim Cornelius, Rick Grayson, Rich Wilkman, Johnny Gary, Vicki Lagos, Bud Klein, Barbara Figueroa, Barbara Figueroa, former commissioner, thank you so much for being here, for being a part of that. That Hall of Fame selection committee had a very difficult task of selecting the individuals today. And this is our 5th class. And in the previous 4, we inducted 44 individuals. This year we decided to induct 20 and then induct a separate legacy group. In April 2020, we will begin a year-long process of selecting the class of 2021. I also want to thank everyone for being patient and accommodating because we had the fire, as you're aware, at the Sportsman's Lodge, which threw things into haywire, but the Odyssey restaurant right here today came through and welcomed us with open arms. This is my 3rd Hall of Fame, and I've absolutely loved it. And it's a blessing to be part of the LACD section. So without further ado, I want to say thank you to everyone for being here, and Johnny Gary is going to give the final thank you, and I'll see you in 2021.
As Dick was mentioning, there's many people to thank for this night. I've got a few that I want to make sure I address. He's already addressed the Hall of Fame committee, but Dick Dornan is the coordinator of this entire event, and he did a phenomenal job. Our section staff, they worked diligently to get everybody seated in their places and all the behind-the-scenes things to get done. If you can give a round of applause to the section staff. Our board members, we want to thank them for the continued support of this event to allow us to continue to honor those that have come before us and who really bring the respect to interscholastic athletics and education-based athletics. So we thank our board members. Last but not least, Fred Rogan for his generosity in supporting this event every single year. And for all the inductees today, phenomenal job, phenomenal stories. There's nothing I can say to add to what you all said today. So thank you very much for your attendance today. I wish everybody a safe drive home. Be careful on your way out. I know where the exits are. Thank you so much.